You can hear me? Okay. All right, welcome back to Cryptic Corner. That was the first time the show's ever been yoinked like that before. I don't know where things left off. Honestly, I'm sitting there going and going, and I look at the side chat, and you guys were like, "Hey, Bree's gone." History Channel. I got here. I think this is as a cryptozoologist that I have rights to review your content and make assessments of it. So if you want to see proof, it's right here. So I'm allowed to watch your stuff and make commentary on it. You big babies. I'm allowed to critique your shows. And I get to do that. So suck it up, Buttercup, because I'm not done with you. I'll just have to be a little more careful. How far into the part about this did you guys see? Did you guys see any of this, or was I talking to the void when this part was on? Was I? Yeah. Why don't you want me to analyze your nonsense, History Channel? What are you trying to hide? Is it that your show your network has nothing to do with history and is all about selling nonsense to get ratings? Maybe that's a little bit disingenuous of you, and then you don't want me to analyze it, of course. Turn it up, Bree. Didn't quite hear that finger. What are you talking about, John? Am I not loud enough? I should be loud enough. It looks like I see myself peeking. Can you hear me? Yeah, if it dies again, you'll notice the part you didn't see. You weren't meant to see the final results of this. So, I'll just read the abstract to you, okay? All right. The purpose of this investigation was to determine the validity of the claims that the Star Child skull, a 900-year-old anomalously shaped skull, belonged to an alien hybrid being. The first phase of the project was to procure an exact replica and secure legal rights to continue with physical testing of the original. Then the skull was compared with other humans and animal skulls and most closely resembled that of a 5-year-old Down syndrome child. When exact measurements were taken to compare to that of a typical skull of around 5 years old, the most notable discrepancy was that its increased cranial capacity. A study of the teeth confirmed the skull belonged to a child about 5 years of age. The final phase involved extracting DNA from inside the skull and a tooth. The mitochondrial DNA test showed that the child was a male and his mother was a Native American from the haplogroup C1. The paternal DNA test revealed the father was a Native American from haplogroup Q. The star child was confirmed to be 100% human. Not only 100% human, but also 100% humans of the people group that were indigenous to the region at the time. Not only that, but a skull of a human in the haplogroup of the indigenous people that had been around at that time. There was a 5-year-old with potentially Down syndrome. So that is what we are looking at with the star child skull, and I think that's probably something that we can put to bed. And yes, isn't it always a shock, Maya? Isn't it always, oh my gosh, who saw that coming? All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for CryptoCorner. History Channel kind of killed my buzz on covering this, honestly. History Channel kind of killed my buzz. I was all excited to read more into this paper, but I'm done. That's CryptoCorner for today. Star Child Skull debunked. The other Star Children remains we've done before. There was the Alikai or whatever. We did Alyoshenka today. That there are a few alien mummy babies out there that are just really just deformed fetuses that people want to glom onto. But anyway, if you are watching this on Friday night with me live, thank you so much for popping in and hanging out with us. And I really appreciate giving me a little bit of your time this evening for the live chat that has bounced back from getting yoinked by the big networks, by Big Brother watching me. Yeah. Anyway, yes, I will be back with you in just a minute after this, but for everybody watching this on Friday who has joined us for CryptoCorner, thank you so much for hanging in there, and really appreciate you. Please give your opinion on the Star Child skull or any of these Star Child claims at all in the comments down below. Hit the bell icon if you want to catch more of these shows. Tune in tomorrow morning for Live from the Hive at 9:30 a.m. I look forward to seeing you there. Everybody watching this in CryptoCorner, thank you. All right, and those for you hanging in there live from the Hive. I will see you guys over in CreationWatch and just hop, skip, and a jump.
Hello and welcome. Godless Granny is about a lot of things. I talk about any issue that affects me or on which I have strong opinions. Most frequently, that's religious issues, women's issues, transgender issues, and political issues. I believe in social justice and equality for all. I feel that everyone has a right to believe what they want, but that right doesn't absolve you of criticism of your beliefs. Thus, I criticize both outlying religious ideas and mainstream ideology. I welcome theists to discuss or debate their issues with me live on stream. Contact me on Twitter if you'd like to do that. I was a Christian for 42 years. In my last decade as a believer, I became increasingly liberal, seeing that as being more consistent with biblical ideas. But eventually, the cognitive dissonance between liberal thought and certain parts of the Bible brought me to evolve my theology. I still hung on to the inerrancy of the Bible and continued to look for ways to interpret the Bible to fit reality. But when it was proven to me that the biblical flood did not happen, thank you, Aaron Ra, Vice Rhino, and Pelagia, there was no longer anywhere to go. I had to let go of inerrancy. But without the Bible, my faith had no foundation. And then I left the faith. I have since met people of faith who reject inerrancy. I find this a more honest faith, but I also find it a purely human construct. Why believe in a God if you have to make up the God and what the God is all about? I now criticize the very religious beliefs that I held for decades, as I now realize that they not only do not originate from a God that loves me, but that they were dangerous, dangerous in that they limited me. They limited me as a person by discouraging thought and learning. It restricted my relationships and my ability to develop myself as a person. I hope to do several things here. I hope to reach others of my generation, as we are the primary people that are still holding on to this outdated ideology. Second, I hope to reach the younger generation, imploring them not to follow in my footsteps. And third, I hope to show how the younger generation who has already left the faith can reach their parents. What arguments did I find convincing that will likely convince their parents? So come on in, let's have a chat.
Evolutionary arms race. So that's where you get run into a lot of problems with people misunderstanding evolution, because they're like, oh, this animal hasn't changed for millions of years. It's because it's been and that's never true, by the way, but that's because it's been accustomed to that ecological niche for all that time, and it doesn't mean it hasn't been challenged for that. It means it came out on top every time. Sharks are a good example. They're well adapted for their environment. They aren't going anywhere. Well, until now, so we started killing them and eating them, but or just killing them for fun. When there's an extinction that's when we get what we call, it's a punctuated equilibrium. Otherwise, you experience gradualism. But when the extinction event happens, whether it's disease-driven or natural disaster, whatever, all the life forms die out. It creates basically a niche vacuum where new forms of life get to try their hands at things that their ancestors weren't able to do before because of the competition. Animals move into these more specialized niches, though, makes them more susceptible to extinction events, or obviously, we're in the middle of the Anthropocene right now, where we're the extinction event, and the specialized animals are the first ones going, especially the large ones. That's one of the most specialized niches you can be in, is a large browser or a large grazer. Especially large browsers, though, because they tend to be more of a K strategist in their reproductive methodology. Speaking of, would you guys like me to talk about R strategy and K strategy? I might be able to get some friends together and maybe do a little talk about that. Did that double click thing again, I swear. Hey. I think I might switch my mouse back out to the one I had before. This one's annoying me. It's a new one, but I don't like it. That's okay, though. We live and learn. I'm going to get a new mouse and keyboard set, I think. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for joining me in the Hive. Yeah, I know I was muted. I did hit the unmute. I promise. This time I did. It's this new mouse I got. It's supposed to be one of the therapeutic ones that's kind of up on the side where I can like rest my thumb in. But it has this like if you click back here, it double clicks. If you click towards the back, if you click towards the front, it just single clicks. But I'm so used to clicking further back because my work mouse is like that. Y'all don't want to hear all the minutia of this, what's happening backstage, though. Thank you so much for coming in. No, the reason I do that, and when I started in the community, I watched the Daily Atheist, Chris Ballard. He had a morning show he did every day. From what time? What was the time frame on that? 8 a.m. to 9:30, I think, or around 9:30. I listened to it every morning while I was working, and he'd have technical difficulties too. He used the same kind of system I used, Streamlab OBS, but and he was very very strict about not wanting to talk about if there was tech issues going on backstage, right? So. And I love Chris. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't agree with everything the guy says, but we were friends. I came on his show. Anyway, but he was very strict about it, and it made me feel when I was having tech issues that I wasn't competent. I didn't realize that, the other people were having tech issues too, of course. So I don't mind telling people what's going on. That way, when you're doing your stream, you can feel comfortable asking me for help. Because I do this stuff too. All the YouTube producers have tech issues. This is we're spearheading a new type of entertainment. So it's gonna be different. It's gonna be difficult. I don't say new type, but it's just now becoming popular. Anyway, good morning, Mallory's Asylum. Good to see you. Tech issues can be frustrating, but we're all human. And I want everybody to feel like it's okay to make mistakes and to do things wrong and to learn together. That's important to me. And I try not to, and you'll see a lot of content creators that'll crack down on someone for having tech issues in their videos. I try not to do that. I might do that to someone who's especially condescending, like someone like, I don't know, like Kent Hovind. I might jump on them a bit about tech issues, but the main reason I think it is for that I judge Hovind for that is because he acts like he's doing a produced like content in front of a live studio audience and all of that, and it doesn't reflect that type of commitment to production that he's trying to put off. But speaking of them, I don't want to talk about that on this stream, but I think I am going to do a stream later on. I miss Andy Hall's morning shows too, but Andy's got Andy and he's got his own thing. Some people are doing this to try to test the waters and see if they can persevere at it and become a career YouTuber, things like that. Or not even a career YouTuber, but even a part-time job as a YouTuber, and what it does, and they'll do it for a couple of years when it doesn't work out. I think that's what happened with Chris Ballard. He didn't get the results that he was expecting, so he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't know if that's what Andy's situation was. I know he had some work stuff too, but regardless, I'm not going anywhere because I'm not doing this for those reasons. Yeah, I want to get to my 1K. The only reason I want to get to my 1K is because I like the channel membership stuff. I like being able to have channel members and have the specific targeted streams and things like that for channel members. I want to be able to do that stuff and share with the people who are helping me along the way. That's the main reason I want to get to 1K. Because monetizing this channel is not going to bring me anything. You think Emma Thorne hates you more than Kent? Godseed. Yeah, I mean, you were rude to her. I didn't appreciate that, but if I bring a guest on, especially a guest with that big of a following, I'd appreciate that uh, my chat is friendly to them, even if you disagree with what they're saying. I'll bring um, lots of different folks on. I've not really had uh, too many dissenting opinions come on my channel. Nobody wants to like actually come on here and talk to me with a different opinion than me. And that's always the response too. It's that, hey, you are. Yeah, I'm not planning on making any kind of money off of YouTube. Mainly, I just want to be able to support my friend, or to be able to, support my friends and or give the friends that are helping support me some love back and give them cool exclusives and things like that. That's the main goal. I know I'm so close. Almost to almost to 860 or so right now. Yeah. You are what, Sandy? I'm not sure. Um, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Anyway, I was supposed to be doing CreationWatch, and y'all got me. Uh, what is it? In the comments in the live chat, you guys are always so engaging though with the community stuff. Anyway, I'm not going to be talking about any of that Hovind and Matt Powell and Brett Keane and all that crap that's going on. I do want to talk about it, but it's not going to be today. That's not a live for the Hive topic. That's something more for like a Sting. Anyway, but today we are doing something that's a live from the Hive topic that I think you guys are going to enjoy. You all know Answers in Genesis, right? Sure, everybody knows Answers in Genesis that's in this community, right? Anybody, especially people who are coming out of religion, people who are engaged in the like the young Earth anti-evolution debate stuff, are very familiar with Answers in Genesis. That's where a lot of these homeschooling programs are citing their research and citing their curriculum from. So we are actually going to be exploring that today. And sorry for I always have a little bit of tangent at the beginning of this because I'm got feelers in the creationist community too. You know, it just comes natural to me to want to do like a housekeeping of any drama that happens over there too, because I do like to keep tabs on the people that are wanting to execute me. Not that. Why did you pick that? That's not what we wanted. That was my camera. Snap camera. Yeah, the snap camera doesn't even work anymore. I had, like, when I did the cat video thing last week, I was gonna do cat eyes, and the snap camera doesn't work anymore. It just does a straight capture. Boo. Anyway, yeah, here we are. This is Answers Kids, or Kids Answers. And it has a video section, and we're going to kind of explore it a bit. But let's look it over first. Let's look at this site and see what we have. So kid mode is on. There's like a kid mode toggle at the top. This will turn off kid mode. Are you 13 or older? No, we're not going to mess with that right now. I want to look at this as if I was a child, okay? I want to see how, when a kid comes to Kids Answers, what kind of experience they have. So they got their homeschooling curriculum right on their desk in front of them. Got their homeschooling curriculum that their mom got in the mail or printed off from the website or however they're doing it now. I know back when I was exposed to this, that that it was mailed to you in big envelopes, because my first wife, when she was in high school, she did it this way. So we have and they now send you to websites and things like this to get your answers, kids, answers, which sounds like legitimate. There's nothing about this that, other than this being answers in Genesis when you're keying it in, nothing about this right now so far seems off from any other kids educational hub. One pilot episode, Jumpers, Emperor Penguins, Backyard Variety, Chameleon, and then we got see more on that. And then you got worldview videos. So these are animal videos. These are worldview videos. Acquire from Uganda, Dominican Republic. Why do we look different? Jewels of the Jungle excerpt. Okay, and evolution videos. There's that. Why do we look different? How old is the universe? Scopes trial. The building blocks of life. Then we have a video series, or the video series, Mystery Island Mission Moments, Mystery Island Songs, Mystery Island Daily Drama, Kids Answers with Buddy Davis. So what's this Mystery Island series thing, I wonder? Science videos, Flood in the Stars, Seven Seas, the Grand Canyon Formation, Cave Formation, and a Young Earth. Okay, there's the first time in any of these that I've seen a reference to like Young Earth or anything like that so far. So we got all the way down to here before they started with the non-uniformitarian or whatever position that they hold. So yeah, Doctor. I had to put my glasses on, I guess. Dr. Silvestru. And then we have Dissecting a Sheep's Heart. Creation videos. Okay, now we get the first mention of God, right? About let's see, we're about halfway down over here on the scroll bar. You all can't see it because the way I have this set up, but we're about halfway down the page, and we finally got a mention of God. Did God use the same design for humans as monkeys? When God created the earth, were the trees fully grown, or were they baby trees? Okay, so that's an interesting question. Why did God make the week 7 days long? Why was the first person God created a boy? Age of the Earth videos. How old is the Earth? Universe. Mount St. Helen. Why shouldn't Christians accept millions of years? Check out the radiometric dating. Do Muslims and Christians worship the same God? Excerpts from Wretched with Todd Friel. Oh God, they put Wretched Radio on here. Todd Friel should not be preaching to children. Todd Friel is a hate preacher, right? He's like very anti minority groups or especially the queer community. I think he's like a hate preacher against gay rights, against trans rights and all that. So they got Todd Friel. And Todd Friel has a buttery voice, but he's not. Oh, thank you, James Apperson. I'm looking forward to it as well. Time Lab, Wild Family Mission Moments, Made in God's Image, Common Designer. We got Bible videos, which I'm not going to do. Here's the Mystery Island series. I don't know what that's about. I don't know if that's something I want to delve into or not. Grand Canyon stuff. Nathaniel Jensen, of course, coming here at the very bottom. And can creationists be real scientists? Yes, depending on what field they're in. You can't deny the field you're working in, though. Like if you're a geologist, you can't be like, oh, but these rocks are only 10 years old, because that's the only way this can make sense. All right, I want to see I want to do why do we look so different? Or why do we look different? Let's do that one. It's a 7.5 minute video. Let's do it, team. We can get through this.
Why do we look different? That's a question that really, and I mean literally, hits home for me. Okay, so I told you I showed you a picture of my daughter. She's lovely, isn't she? We adopted our daughter Elizabeth from China, and so these are questions I have to answer. I remember when Elizabeth was about 4 years old, she said to me, "Mommy, when will my skin look like yours?" Okay, because she's much darker skinned, especially in the summer, than I am. And so I really am aware of this question and really have to, because every time we look in the mirror, okay, now I don't notice it so much anymore because I'm her mom. And I think it's funny when people come up to me and they go, "Are you her mom?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And
so this is Georgia, right? Georgia Purdom from Answers News. She is a biologist, as I understand it. So I think what she's going to be talking about here is basically like haplogroups. Like when we just talked about the star children, they tracked down what the parents were by the haplogroup. But let's see what Georgia says and how if it's appropriate for children about this topic.
And I think, oh, no, I know why they're asking that. Because we don't look the same. But see, I don't see that anymore, right? I just see her as my daughter, and I love her very much. So I don't see that difference that other people do. But it's there, and we have to address that. And children are very aware of differences, okay, between themselves and others. So it's important that we provide them with answers founded in God's Word. So are there multiple races, or is there one race? And again, how we look at this depends on our starting point. Do we start with man's word? Do we start with God's word? Because if we start with man's word, and which includes evolutionary ideas, then the races evolved in separate geographical locations over separate periods of time from different ancestors, and that gives a basis for racism, because the outcome of that is some can be more highly evolved than others.
Now, this is for children, remember, and she just claimed that the mainstream evolutionary model presents different ancestral lineages for each race of humans. That is not at all what the mainstream theory is. Races are not a biological class. Races are not a way of dividing biological groups. Again, if you want to get something close to that, you're going to be talking about haplogroups, which we discussed earlier. And there are haplogroups are varied in many, and they overlap, and you have multiple ones in your bloodline. Nobody alive today has just one haplogroup present and evident in their DNA. Now, race is tangentially, it is not tangentially. What is the word? I keep saying tangentially, and there's another word that I mean. It means that tertiarily, I guess, can be linked to race, but only on a very, very basic level. Most of it is based around culture and history, the way that you've interacted with your neighbors. That is going to sculpt what your group and how your gene pool and your descendants interact with your neighbors. You know, if you're standoffish, you'll isolate from them, and you'll both develop different phenotypical characteristics that distinguish your group from their group over time, because you don't admix with them. Whereas if you have a friendly relationship with a group, you'll admix with them, and you may even merge with them into a single people group, or to be seen from outsiders as a single people group, while inside your group you are seen as separate races. This is what, like comparing to how Westerners see sub-Saharan Africa to how sub-Saharan Africa sees themselves. Westerners, like someone in the U.S., would say, yes, everybody there is black, whereas someone who's actually from that area would say, no, we are this group, and they are that group, and they are that group, and this group is this group, but they have this group in them that live with them, things like that, and some of them are even still divided, and it causes strife within the communities, of course, but it's cultural and historical more so than it is biological. The biological differences, though, are a offshoot of the cultural and I almost want to say geopolitical, but you're talking ancient people, so it wasn't even, what could you even call it, geopolitical at that time? But just because of isolating yourself and not having a interaction with specific people groups, maybe you have hostilities towards them or bad relations for whatever reason, or maybe you have really good relations. It all comes into play, and so that's why history does enter into it as well. But no, the model does not at any point ever say that each group of humans came from their own distinct line of primate ancestors. That's not how any of this works. Welcome, Dick Dawson. Thank you for showing up. And Carol's here. Hey, hey.
A lot of times they won't tell you that outcome, but that is the outcome of that. And again, just to emphasize this whole issue of starting points with our children. I keep showing slides like this because it's so important to understand that.
So wait, is this for the children or the parents? Because this is in the kids section. This is for kids to watch. This is not for parents. And you just told the kids that the current scientific model is racist, is like multi origin theory. And that's not at all.
This is an issue. We need to show them that what we believe about the world strongly depends on our worldview, on our presuppositions, on our starting points. What are our beliefs about reality? And that starting with man's authority and reasoning apart from God won't give us the truth. We have to start with God's word to arrive at the truth. And we have to help them understand that. So what do we believe about the issue of race?
So man's word is the Bible too, though, because it's interpretation. You can say it's divinely inspired, and that's fine, and you can present evidence. But once you start having to present evidence for your worldview, once you do, not me, once you do, then I would present evidence for my worldview and why I think that the evidence that you're presenting from the Bible is false, right? So you can't start with, okay, we're going to start by saying, yes, my Bible is true, and then we can talk. That's no way to move forward in the conversation. We're going to get stuck.
When we start with the Bible. But we have to take an in-depth look at those first 4 C's of biblical history because it's important. Okay, creation. We know that God told Adam and Eve to be fruitful and multiply.
God, see that you're not wrong, but there's not a model for race. I can't think of a model for race. When it comes to haplogroups, I think they try to keep it as open and just plain as possible. They're literally just categorized in like number. I think it's letter number format. So I don't think that there is bubble gun. Oh, Titan. I don't bubble gun. Yeah, I'm not surprised about anything that person does. Anyway, sorry, getting distracted by the side chat again.
Fly and fill the earth. But before that can happen, okay, we have corruption. Adam and Eve sinned. As a result, all creation was cursed. However, they did fulfill that command because Genesis 5:4 says they had sons and daughters. The Jewish historian Josephus, he said, according to Jewish tradition, Adam...
Are we just going to gloss over the incest? I guess it's just for kids, like you said, but you're talking about racism from the mainstream model.
Adam and Eve had 33 sons and 23 daughters. Whew. I think one's a lot. They had over 50 children, okay? But again, they needed to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. That was the command given to them. Well, about 1,500 years after fall, we see the effects of man's sinfulness with catastrophe. God sends a global catastrophic flood, and so we don't know how large the population was at that time, but it goes down to 8, okay? Because only 8 people survived aboard the ark. And after that, God told them something very similar to what he told Adam and Eve, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. Well, they multiplied, but they didn't fill the earth. They stayed in one place, which brings us to confusion. About 150 or 200 years or so after the flood,
So she's just like saying, "Oh, this is the how the Bible presents it. So we need to take it this way first." I think this video might be like what the parents are supposed to watch to give the kids lessons. I don't know.
Confusion. Now, what's going on here? And the people said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth." They multiplied, but they didn't fill the earth. They just stayed in one place.
Speed,
they built
are you
the
for
tower,
real?
maybe something that looks similar to this. And
Speed, are you for real? Hold on, I gotta sneeze.
God punished their disobedience. He confused the language of all the earth. That's why we call this the Tower of Babel. And from there, the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of all the earth. They did migrate out. They did fill the earth. And people with different languages ended up in different locations. And DNA, for characteristics like skin color, eye shape, within those groups became concentrated because they all were marrying each other.
I'm still muted. Stupid double click. So this is not too far off from what the what our mainstream model would show, right? Except for they're pretending it started at the Tower of Babel. And you never skip him. I know I was muted. I'm sorry. The we know that this isn't where the division of these different groups came or started or originated. This was far too recent. Babylon. By the time of Babylon, even the old Babylon, these groups were already pretty well established in the regions that they're in, right? But the way it's represented here is weird because seeing this group right here, oh, y'all can't see my mouse, can ya? Just the way that it's presented, it's not a proper presentation of how different human groups would actually be divided. This is the ethnical divide that Westerners have for people. This is what, as a like a person of European descent, that they would see the world as. And unfortunately most media presents it that way too, and it's kind of annoying. But there it is. I'm actually going to end this one right here because Speed told me that this was some kind of animated series. And I want to find out what that means, the Mystery Island thing. So, let's go. So it must be these kids. What kind of stuff do they have? Their songs, it looks like. Operation Arctic Song. Mission Moments. Looks like they're mission moments and songs. Yeah, let's see. I'm trying to pick which one I want to watch. So give me just a second here. Arctic Wild Mission Moments. Let's see what that is.
Hi, I'm Libby Wild, mom to the Wild Brothers. Our family works as Christian missionaries in Asia Pacific. When I was a little girl, my mom used to read to me. As I grew up, I spent most of my babysitting money on books to read. When our boys were growing up, of reading the Bible in our own language.
Ew. No, this is just like hot takes from missionaries. No, thank you. I don't think missionary work is a good thing. Good morning, Secular Pig and Mom. Glad to see you in the side chat there. I don't think missionary work is a good thing, so I think what you're doing is bad for the for intercultural relations between our societies in Western countries and these people in other areas of the world, because you come in with your notion that you're a it's a white savior complex, right? That, oh, I'm going to bring my culture. Does it actually have a cartoon? I was hoping there was a cartoon associated with this. I guess not. I'm gonna go back out here and see, because I wanted to see what they have. If I just click on animal videos, if they have anything fun we could talk about. Ark Encounters zoo animals. Creation Museum zoo animals. The dog and its incredible sense of smell. Cuttlefish. What really happened to the dinosaurs in 4 minutes? For children from Hin Hiam. Let's do it. We're doing this, kids. We're doing this. Buckle in. Zip.
What really happened to the dinosaurs?
Many people are perplexed by the topic of dinosaurs. Where did they come from? When did they live? What happened to them? You see, when you dig up a dinosaur skeleton, it doesn't come with a label attached saying, "Hi, I'm 65 million years old and this is what happened to me." We have to interpret that skeleton in relation to the past.
It does, though. It actually does come with some. You don't know how to read the label. Doesn't mean the label is not there. We can learn a lot about the ecology that an organism lived in and the environment, and we can learn a lot about what has happened and what it's been through in its life. You can learn if it's had broken bones, if it suffered some kind of certain kinds of diseases, what it was eating, what the food that it eats, how they affected its teeth, if what it had in its digestive tract. If we find coprolites, we can see what these organisms were eating and what parasites they had, if there were insects or anything else in the environment that were consuming its waste, if it oh my gosh, there's so much stuff you can tell from finding dinosaur bones in the dirt. And all that you can find is that something died there is BS.
So where did dinosaurs come from? What happened to them? When did they live? I want to show you that when you take God at...
Why does this music sound like he's trying to seduce me about dinosaurs? I'm serious. Listen to this background music. Is he trying to get in my panties?
His word in the book of Genesis, that we can explain dinosaurs, and
like a very
observational
white
science
voice
actually confirms that explanation based upon the Bible. See, the Bible tells us that God made the land animals on day 6 of creation. And who else was created on day 6? Well, Adam and Eve. And how long ago was that? Well, when you add up all the dates in the Bible, about 6,000 years. So, taking God at his word in Genesis, dinosaurs lived beside people about...
That's your problem. You're assuming that Genesis is God's word right out of the gate. But Georgia just explained why you do that.
6,000 years ago. And they were vegetarian to start with. Genesis chapter 1, verse 29 tells us that all the animals are vegetarian. But then Adam sinned, and because of sin, everything changed. The whole of creation now groans because of sin. In fact, after the event of Noah's flood, God told Noah that now humans could eat meat, could eat animal flesh. But before that time, they're instructed only to be vegetarian. So sometime after sin, obviously animals started changing their diets as well. And the Bible tells us that there was a global flood, and 2 of every kind of land-dwelling, air-breathing animal went on board the boat that Noah built, Noah's Ark. Now, people often say, wait a minute, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dinosaur kinds. No, there might be hundreds of dinosaur names, and many of those names are given to different variations within a dinosaur kind. But when you actually work through it, there's probably less than 50 dinosaur kinds.
Bonk. Yes. No, there's more than 50 dinosaurs species, groups that are going to be distinct. Unless you're claiming like an ankylosaur and a stegosaurus are the same kind. If you want to make that claim, then there has to be some time for diversification. After the flood, in order to account for the number of species found, unless you're saying that ornithischians diversified before the flood? Did they diversify? Was there evolution before the flood? I thought everything was the same and just lived a long time. Anyway, let's see. And I'm gonna keep going with. I gotta do the sexy voices with this music. I can't help it.
The T-Rex type kind, the raptor type kind, the sauropod type kind, and so it goes on. And the other thing to remember is that the average size of a dinosaur is only the size of a sheep or a German Shepherd dog or a small pony or something like that. You see, some of the...
Depends on what period you're in, though. If you're in the Triassic, it's actually a lot smaller. The average size dinosaur is about the size of a crane or a heron. If you're in, but if you're in the Jurassic to the early Cretaceous, you're probably right. But sauropods at the end of the Jurassic really started to get huge, and kind of they would skew those figures quite a bit towards a larger size. I would say they would skew those figures to probably the average size of a dinosaur being closer to like a buffalo size or a moose size, just because the sauropods are going to shift those numbers way over. What verse references sauropod kind? When you go to the Bible, just look up Sinew, Senew, of his stones, and that's what they think is about dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs did grow large like the sauropods, but even they hatched from eggs and were once young adults, and so would not have been that large. Actually, there was plenty of room on board Noah's Ark for two of every kind of the dinosaurs.
I think that our homeboy probably thinks that dinosaurs are, or it's not dinosaurs, I'm sorry, sauropods are all one kind, right? I'm picking up what he's putting down there. Is that what you're getting from this, guys?
Kind. And I'm sure that God chose those young adults that were ready for the new world to populate in the new world. What happened to those land animals that didn't go on board the ark? They were drowned. Many of them turned into fossils. The dinosaur fossils we find, most of them probably come from the time of the flood, over 4,300 years ago, and therefore they're thousands of years old.
So then, did evolution happen before the flood? No, elephants don't have external testicles, Logan Fisher. Elephants keep their balls on the inside, like all afrotheres. Like a good little afrothere, they keep their balls right up inside, nice and warm, like a manatee and an aardvark and an elephant shrew. It's a key feature. That's why I don't think that Behemoth was a elephant, but I also don't think that Behemoth was a dinosaur, because diapsids, that's birds and reptiles. Birds are reptiles, but they don't have external testicles at all. That's a thing that is pretty specific to therian mammals, therapsids specifically. I don't know of any non-therapsid that has external testicles, and not even all therapsids have external testicles. Like I said, afrotheres don't, so you won't see a big elephant balls or anything ever. They probably think it's weird that other animals have big hanging balls. Anyway, yeah, it probably looks gross to them. like how we think of a baboon's butt. That's probably what elephants think of our balls. But like, ew, humans have these weird little saggy, wrinkly things hanging underneath their reproductive organs. Isn't that gross? Like, ew, really? Primates are so weird. That's how elephants talk.
Not millions of years old. Those that came off the ark started to spread out over the earth. And then, because of changing conditions, many animals have become extinct, including the dinosaurs. Really, for animals to become extinct is nothing new. We see it happening every year. Now, is there any evidence that's consistent with that explanation of dinosaurs? Actually, there is lots of evidence consistent with that.
Really?
We have dragon legends all over the earth, just as we have flood legends. Flood legends attest to the fact there was a real flood. Dragon legends attest to the fact there were real animals called dragons, and the descriptions of those creatures in many instances fit the dinosaurs. And then there are cave paintings all over the earth done by people hundreds of years ago who drew animals that they were familiar with, and some of those paintings look just like the dinosaurs. And you know, there's even indication in the Bible of a dinosaur that lived beside a man after the flood. Go and read the book of Job, Job chapter 40, verse 15. Behemoth, the largest land animal God made. The description fits something like a sauropod dinosaur living with Job after the flood. We've also found in our present world dinosaur bones with what appear to be red blood cells and soft tissue still in them, indicating they can't be millions.
No, we didn't. Check it out if you didn't see it. Aaron had the one and only Miss Mary Schweitzer on his channel just the other day. It was pre-recorded, it wasn't live, but it was still really cool. And it was nice to hear the person that they cite refuting them, saying, stop saying this about me. This is not true. Because they got a conspiracy that she was shut down by the man, that Robert Backer, of all people, was like, girl, you cannot go around saying that we found dinosaur bones that are less than 6,000 years old. So you're going to have to tell them that it's because this blood is 65 million years ago. And Mary was like, no. It's like, nope, you got to keep it up even after you're no longer affiliated with me and you're doing your own thing and your own work separately. You still have to keep up this lie, okay? And you can't ever tell anybody. Or what did he threaten her with? I want to know, because there's hardly anything worse of a threat to someone than to say you're going to go burn in hell if you lie, right? Which is what people like Mr. Ham do.
Millions of years old. You know, when people ask me what happened to the dinosaurs, my usual answer is, well, they died. But of course, they didn't die out millions of years ago. Many died at the time of the flood. And those that were alive on Noah's Ark, their descendants died out sometime after the flood. It's the Bible's history that explains dinosaurs.
So I wonder, does he completely reject, like, because some of the young Earth people will say, you know, these stories about dinosaurs in the Congo, the Civil War pterodactyls, that kind of stuff. Where does Answers in Genesis stand on that? Where does Answers for Kids stand on the Loch Ness Monster? That's what I want to know. That's the question. I didn't see anything in here about Loch Ness Monster. But, yeah, let's let him finish. Got 2 seconds. Yeah. Just that. Oh, yeah. I should just let him finish. All right. I wonder if we can search. Is there a search feature on here? No search. We can't search Loch Ness Monster. I wonder, what if we try to Google it? I don't want y'all to see all my search history. Hold on. I guess you just did. It's not anything interesting there, just the stuff that we're talking about tonight. But just a second. I'm going to pull it up over here. And we are looking for answers in Genesis for Kids. And then we're going to do Loch Ness Monster. Got something from 2012, but it's not from the kids section. You all get to just watch me. You get to watch me look for ham evidence. Loch Ness Monster found. That's from 2007 on AIG. Yeah, we're not going to do that today. If sometime in the future we can look at AIG and their claims about the Loch Ness monster and living dinosaurs and stuff. So we will do that. But let's go back out here to animals again, because got about 10 more minutes I want to spend looking into this. So you can do it by different groupings too. 10 cursed creatures. Cursed. What are they cursed? Is this the curse from the fall? Why are they cursed? There's our bombardier beetle. I'm still considering doing a response to Tony Reed's video, but I still want to try to see if I can't get Tony to come on and hang out with me while I do it. Honeybee is one of God's sweetest designs. All right, there's a bug video. It's platypus, the mystery animal. 10 sin cursed animals that still show divine design. That's what I wanted to see. I want to see why they're cursed and how they're cursed. Oh, it just gives links to those same videos again. Amazing diversity. Gen X goes to the dogs. Every tail has a tail. Animal tools. Biomimicry. Say what? This takes us away from the kids section, though. We're supposed to be just in the kids section. Is this in the kids section? No. It's unfortunate how fast it moves you out of that without even clicking it, without even knowing that I was leaving the kids section of the website. I left. That's not good. So that's probably something you want to look into if you are on the team here. Let's see. What do you all want? I want to see. Hold on, I'm going to put a poll out, okay? And I want you all to vote because we got time for one more of these little videos, and I want you all to vote penguins or chameleons was what we're going to go watch, okay? So I'm going to start a poll. And you guys are going to pick, okay? So this poll will be coming in just a second, and then you'll be able to say, I want penguins or I want chameleons. All right. So you guys decide. We're going to do one of these two and see where it leads us. I would like to know more about where Answers stands on cryptids, though. It's interesting. I know I've done actually some coverage of where they stand on aliens before, but I've never looked into where they stand on cryptids. So I want everybody to vote out there, chameleons or penguins. Looks like penguins are in the lead. My coffee's gone. I finished my coffee. But has Bugbot told me to hydrate and you guys missed it? Because I haven't hydrated in a while. I'm going to hydrate while you guys figure this out. You guys figure out the show because my poor writing skills, I don't have a response specific videos. I opened this up and I'm like, oh my gosh, jackpot. So I didn't figure I needed to pick specifics. All right. Let's see. I'm going to shut the poll down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pull. No. Are you serious? It was not. When I started my countdown, it was not 50-50. Secular pagan mom bouncing. Yeah, if you got to bounce. Hope you have a wonderful day, a lovely day, my dear. Thank you so much for popping in. Okay. All right, so 12 people voted out of 25 watching. Sandy says flip a coin. I don't have a coin. I do have a coin in my purse, probably. Hold on. My purse is just hanging right over here. We'll flip a coin. Here's a quarter. All right. Heads will be penguins and tails will be chameleon, okay? Ready? Here we go. Tails it is. So we're talking about chameleons. So who wants to talk about chromatophores? Because I can't imagine that we're going to not cover that here. All right. It's a 2-minute video. That's perfect.
The chameleon is an amazing animal.
2-minute video with a 10-second intro, though.
The chameleon can see 360 degrees, like having eyes in the back of your head, and 2 eyes rotating independently, seeing totally different things at once. If you tried to do that, your brain would go crazy. The chameleon has a tongue that can project up to 2 times his body length. He instantly calculates the projection path, launches his tongue like a catapult, snatches his target with an ingenious suction cup, and snaps his tongue back into place, ready for the next shot. Amazing. It all works together, just as if...
I am in agreement. It is all amazing. I think the next statement he's about to make is going to be something I disagree with.
It was made that way. The chameleon's skin can change...
That's actually true. It was made that way. It got genes from its mom and its dad, and its mom said, hey, you're looking hot, to its dad, and its dad said, hey, you're not looking too bad either, baby. And they had chameleon intercourse, and little baby chameleon genes were spliced together, mixed together in the reproductive process, and out popped little baby chameleon, and that's how he was made, or she. Pretty cool, huh? Each individual organism was made by its parents through a biological reproductive process.
Color. Maybe he's cold and wants to absorb a little more sunlight, so he gets darker. Or maybe he wants to cool off and not boil his blood. He turns lighter. Or maybe he wants to catch the eye of a lady. That's when he really puts on a show. The chameleon is truly a wonder of nature, but where did it come from? Did it evolve from other simpler creatures? Could small
Yes, it did. And they're actually, the lineage of chameleons is not like a mystery or anything. It's not like we don't know where they came from or what group they belong to, who their relatives are. Other iguanids also have a lot of these features. You can hold a green iguana, just a plain green iguana, plain old green iguana, because I've had them when I was a kid. We had green iguanas and raised them. We had big fenced-in cages outside that we had green iguanas in. Anyway, if you hold them and where your fingers are, they actually turn black under where your hands are when you're holding them, because their skin, like what it just said here, is turning black to absorb more heat. So iguanas have that feature. Iguanas have that capability. Other lizards do as well. I think we have Mr. Lizard out here in the live chat. At least we did a few moments ago. Now, Mr. Lizard, I think you are an iguanid, right? Are you a like an anole? I thought you were an iguanid, but do you change colors when people put their hand on you? Does it? Can people make black handprints on you by laying their hands on your skin? I just want to know. But there are other species of lizards who have similar features. Other lizards who have extensive tongues, not to the extent of chameleons, but the tegus, for instance, have a big globby tongue. Other iguanids have a big globby tongue as well. Green iguanas, again, the ones that I had as a kid, had globby tongues too. They just didn't shoot them out quite so far. They just go out a little bit, maybe a couple inches past their lips. So, because they were mostly herbivores, they would eat plants and vegetables most of the time. But because again, we have these big cages outside, if some grasshoppers or crickets got in there and got within range, and they would actively hunt it too. They would sneak up and eat it. But if they got into the cage, that iguana would stick its globby little tongue out, and that's how it would grab it. it was stick its globby tongue out, get within like this far of it, tongue would stick to it, and it would pull it into its maw and crunch, crunch, crunch. No more grasshopper, and that's how this type of feature can be present in another group, but not quite as developed as it is in this group. But you can see the relationship between the chameleon and the iguana because they have these correlations of physical features, right? And we can see that, that this is something that was present in an ancestral population. Now, as far as independent eye movement, and that's another thing that's present not just within chameleons, but within all lepidosaurs, and their brains are specifically wired for it. The chameleons, what's special about them is that their eyes are are in that mobile little turret, where not all lizards and snakes have that, but they do all have the independent, one side of the brain seeing one place and one side of the brain seeing another. And varanids and snakes are lizards. Snakes are lizards, by the way. Sorry if that ruins anybody's expectations. Yes, snakes are lizards. They have the forked tongue that also is wired that way. That's why there's two tines on the end of it. One tells them this way and one tells them that way. And they're picking up chemical receptions in the ear. So that all said and done, let us continue on with some AIG for kids.
Accidental changes over millions of years provide small benefits, and then these changes make even more amazing features, like a brain that can process images from two independently rotating eyes, or a spring-loaded tongue that...
So yeah, again, the eyes. So we covered that. The eyes are present in all lepidosaurs. I would hazard to say that they might be present in all the sauropodomorphs, but not sauropodomorphs. What is the word I'm looking for? Sauropsids. Sorry, which would include birds. But I think that birds might have binocular vision or be capable of better binocular vision. The cool thing about chameleons is their rotating turret eyes give them the ability to do binocular vision because they turn it all around, right? But they can center focus forward. That's why they're so good at shooting that tongue out. Hey girl, check out my doolab. Yeah.
Shoots twice as far as its body? The origin of such complexity is a mystery to evolutionary science.
No, it's not. I just talked to you about how we can see a similar tongue feature in other iguanids that just to a lesser degree. But yeah, whereas the chameleon's got like a whole arm shooting out, other just have a hand and a wrist, maybe would be a good analogy for the difference of how this developed.
Scientists. But it makes perfect sense if a creator put all this complexity into the original DNA of the chameleon.
So is chameleon a kind then? What about other lizards that are related? What about false chameleons? Because there's false chameleons too. Are they in the chameleon kind? Or are they in a different group? What false chameleons would be? They're actually anoles, which I just mentioned in the side chat there. So are they have all this chameleon stuff going on, right? There's other lizard groups that have one of these features or some of these features or different features or developed differently. They use the eyes differently. They use the iguana was a good example of the green iguana uses the chameleon tongue feature as a secondary predatory feature that's not dominant in its group. Doesn't depend on that to survive. That's just to pick up secondary nutrition to get the protein that they need because they're largely just vegetarians. Geckos have big globby tongues too. But geckos have big globby tongues, and there are other features too that geckos have that chameleons don't, that are wonderful and fascinating, like the ability to stick to walls, whereas chameleons have just grabby hands. Geckos could just run right along the wall and do as they please, and some anoles can do that too. There's other lizard groups as well, some skinks and things like that, with chameleons can't. So, but iguanids generally don't stick to walls, just in general. All right, so that was some dabbling into kids' answers. This is the stuff that was being presented by Answers in Genesis for Children. And it did include some stuff about claiming that the study of human evolution is racist. It included a section that claimed that that dinosaurs lived in modern times, things like that that should not be allowed to be presented to kids as fact. So I am not in favor of homeschool curriculum. I do want people to be able to see what's out there, though, what's being passed to as part of a curriculum. So there's my Matt Powell air quotes, a curriculum, because it's not really a curriculum, it's indoctrination, because it's not actually teaching anything scientific. So thank you so much for joining me for Creation Watch today. That's some cringy stuff that we have people presenting to children as actual good science. Thank you for joining me in Creation Watch. Please remember to be kind and take care, and we will see you next time. All right, and for those of you sticking around for Live from the Hive, I do have just one more section where we're going to talk about something I promised to talk about the other day. So I will see you guys over there.
Evolution.
How can you not believe in evolution?
Yeah, tell them that you believe in evolution. Evolution.
Evolution.
Evolution. Yeah, tell them that you believe in evolution.
Evolution.
Yeah, tell them that you believe in evolution. Evolution.
You're not going to get us to not believe in evolution.
Bye, Carol. Thanks for coming. Really appreciate you being here. Thank you, everybody else, for sticking around for this last little segment here, little palate cleanser, as we call it, where we're going to talk about extinction today. So we're going to talk about recent extinctions. Was it last night or the night before? I was talking to somebody in a stream, and we brought up the topic of crocodiles. Cryptomeria was there. Was that on Richard Manson's stream? Yes, Richard was there, and I was telling them about crocodiles, these crocodilians that lived fairly recently, that lived in trees and stuff, that did not that were not super closely related to modern crocodiles. They were called Mycosuchus or Mycosuchids. There's a few different species on them, and they were. This group was prevalent in the southern hemisphere, in the old Gondwana land, if you will. And they died out everywhere except for mainly in Oceania. A large species did live in Australia too. Let me get this pulled up here so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Mycosuchus, yeah, I'm just pulling up the wiki article so you guys can see. It's pretty basic stuff. Quicana was the big one. That's the one a lot of people think about when they talk about this group of crocodiles, because they were zyphodonts, which means their teeth weren't the teeth of like an aquatic ambush predator, like a saltwater crocodile, or crocodiles, modern crocodiles in general. There's no crocodile with teeth like this alive today, because their teeth are meat shearing. These were hyper predators. They were terrestrial crocodiles with meat shearing teeth that, Australia, they died out with the rest of the megafauna. They lived alongside Megalania, the giant monitor lizard. Obviously, saltwater crocodiles were around at this time too. There was also the Thylax Cleo, the marsupial lion, if you will. A lot of huge carnivores this thing was living alongside in Australia. But when Australia got visited by humans, we started to wipe out all these magnificent giants and left hardly any trace of them as well, unfortunately. So what we have known is from little scattered fragments like this today. But we were able to build a good phylogenetic tree of them and give an idea of what the groups look like. Now here's a map of where we're able to find evidence of these organisms and their dominance in their ecosystem, right? These zyphodontic teeth that allowed them to shred meat, and cursorial legs. They were ambush hunters. They were designed to run things down, not long distances, but just to do an ambush attack. And they were successful for quite a while. Why is it important to show this map of where they're located, or where they were located when they existed? Because while they went extinct, basically all over their entire range, well before modern science could even be dreamt of, well before civilized man, or whatever you want to call it, before the rise of civilization, they were long extinct. These weren't driven to extinction by Westerners or anything, but there were some groups that did survive the Holocene extinction event, and groups of these meat shearing crocodiles, right? These wild looking organisms, and they were called terrestrial crocs. There were ones in Fiji. Now, these ones were actually quite large, up to 10 feet long. So this is not something you'd want to tangle with. They were powerful predators. And this one lived until the late Pleistocene. They were, as you see here, hunted by humans in Fiji when it was colonized. And they were driven to extinction. Now, this was fairly recently. There's some other ones here too in the Mesosuchids that were also very, very recent. So let's see here. I thought I had the list pulled up here, but there was the New Caledonian. Here we go. There are 4 species of Mesosuchus recognized, the first discovered, and the youngest is the type species Mesosuchus inexpectus from the Holocene of New Caledonia, which became extinct at some point in the last 4,000 years. So you're talking within the time that, within historic time on this 4,000 years ago is not, you're looking at Mesopotamia in full bloom, the pyramids, things like that being already established, and there are these terrestrial and arboreal, because some of these species are thought to have lived in trees based on the structure of their claws. So arboreal and tree crocs that are out there. and these Pacific islands, right, in modern time. But these islands were, New Caledonia was a wild place. It had giant horned turtles and stuff up until this time. It had this really almost analogous with being as bizarre and unique as the Galapagos, but bizarre and unique in its own way, right? It had, whereas like the Galapagos had the giant tortoises, it had these horned tortoises. The Galapagos have the marine iguanas. It had tree crocodiles. It was this unique, that we just missed, this unique biology mix, that everything was filling different niches than what they were in the rest of the world. It was just been fascinating to see this. And New Caledonia would have been lit to see about 8,000 years ago, just to go visit, like as a documentary. Like I'd love to see a documentary just on New Caledonia fauna, or Fiji too, but New Caledonia specifically because it had more than just the arboreal crocs. And yeah, anyway, that is what I wanted to give a quick shout out to, because this came up, and this is a good example of how humans can directly impact the wildlife of an area, in no doubt to a detrimental level, to the detriment of the organisms that it shares the world with. We are very cruel to the natural environments. We don't mean to be. Well, sometimes we do. Sometimes it's just indifference, but it's mostly the things that we bring with us when we come. But in addition to bringing diseases of our own to inflict upon the indigenous populations who don't have the proper immunities to survive that, our birds bring pathogens to the island's birds. Our animals our pets bring sickness to the indigenous mammals. Our parasites infect them. Our pest species, rats, the indigenous island mammals can't compete with them, and the other fauna the other native fauna on the islands, their eggs and young can't compete with the again, rats, and also then you start getting into predators like cats and dogs that attack and feed on these organisms, and humans who also hunt them for food, sport, and just out of fear and ignorance of the organism, they'll kill it. But that's been the history of our spread around the globe, so get used to it. And yeah, so that's going to cover that topic, but I do have a I guess it's going to be my strange science segment as well. I'm going to talk about the silver fox again. I know, well, it's not just about the silver fox. We're going to talk about a few things. This is about wild versus feral, domestic versus tame, native versus invasive, and why words matter. So this is going to be, for some strange science here. We're going to talk about why and how we classify things the way we do. It's just a little blog someone wrote, and I liked it. It's called "Is the Fox Cute?" Recently a post crossed my dash on Facebook featuring a small group of llamas in the forest of the Olympic Peninsula. The caption described them as wild llamas, llama glama, that may seem pretty innocuous to the average person, but to a naturalist, it's a gross mischaracterization. For one thing, llamas are completely domestic animals, no more wild than a cow or a dog. They are descendant from the guanaco, the llama guanaco, which is a truly wild camelid. So this means that the llamas on the peninsula are feral, not wild. But why does this distinction of wild and feral matter so much? Let's find out. The terms we use to describe various species help us to understand their origins and, perhaps more importantly, their current ecological status, or as Andrew Tate would say, status. Sorry, that guy annoys me. These concepts aren't just relevant to scientists, however. Every day, people are constantly making decisions that can affect the ecosystem around them. And often these decisions are made without having a full understanding of their impact. For example, look at how many people release unwanted pets into the wild. Whether domesticated rabbits, goldfish, snakes, or other more exotic animals, some of these unfortunate animals end up dying pretty awful deaths due to starvation, exposure, and predation. But others manage to survive and reproduce, becoming the latest population of a non-native, potentially invasive species in their ecosystem. This wouldn't happen if more people understood the impact of non-native species and how releasing captive animals puts native species at risk. But it all starts with knowing that there's a difference, understanding the terms that explain why that difference exists. So let's explore some vocabulary that can be used to describe species, whether animals, plants, or otherwise. Let's start with domestication. Because there often seems to be confusion as to what makes a species domesticated, domestication is a process that takes many years, often measured in centuries. Humans breed chosen animals for particular traits over the number of generations. As time passes, each subsequent generation becomes more different from the wild species it originated from, and eventually a new, fully domesticated species emerges from this process of artificial selection by humans. Dogs, Canis familiaris or Canis lupus familiaris, are the first animals humans domesticated, in a process that started around 30,000 years ago. The evolution from the now extinct Pleistocene wolf, a particular lineage of gray wolf, Canis lupus, and it's likely that the parent partnership began as some wolves showed less fear of humans while scavenging from our kills. By 14,000 years ago, dogs were a distinct species or subspecies from wolves. And we do talk about speciation and domestication on Michael Granado's stream in November. So it's been a couple months ago, but if you didn't watch it, go check that out. It was a good conversation. All right, where was I? Dogs display very different characteristics from wolves. Their faces tend to be shorter with a more pronounced stop, the bump in the forehead where the muzzle meets the rest of the skull. Floppy ears and curled tails are common, as are patchy colored coats. Dogs tend to have weaker muscles than wolves of similar size, shorter legs and smaller feet, smaller teeth, and smaller size overall. This is a phenomenon known as neoteny, in which domestic animals have a tendency to retain more juvenile physical traits of their parents' wild species, and you can see it from the domestication of animals across the board. But it's not just physical appearance that matter. Behaviorally, dogs are generally more friendly towards humans. In fact, they've even developed some human-friendly body language that wolves don't have, like puppy dog eyes. They have been easily trained, and unless poorly socialized, dogs generally enjoy the company of humans. In many ways, physically and behaviorally, a dog is a wolf that never grew out of its puppy stage. While a young wolf pup may be able to live in someone's house for a short time, as they grow older, they become more destructive and less tolerant of human company. Your dog may love watching out the window during a car ride, but a wolf is going to be much more stressed out by the experience. Even wolf-dog hybrids have to be treated differently than your average domesticated dog because the wolf content has a significant effect on behavior. This is just one example of how domestication isn't a matter of a few generations of selective breeding. You can also compare domesticated horses, Equus feral cabalis, with Przewalski's horse. I hate trying to say that because I feel like I always say it wrong. Or zebras, subgenus Hippo tigris. Domesticated cows, Bos taurus, with stories of fierce wild aurochs, and so forth. In every case, the wild and domesticated counterparts are very different in both appearance and behavior. Now, what about the term tame? Wild animal species have been tamed over the years, either wild-caught individuals or those born in captivity. These tame animals may be more docile in comparison to a fully wild counterpart, but this generally takes a lot of handling and socialization from a young age. However, tame animals retain a lot of wild behaviors than domesticated ones. Take the supposed domesticated foxes that people want to have as pets. Most of the foxes available as pets have no relation to those in the famous Russian fox domestication experiment, but are from modern fur farm lines. And in fact, the studied foxes came from Russian fur farms, so the researchers were beginning with pre-tamed animals rather than truly wild ones. While some tamed foxes may be more amenable to human handling than wild foxes, they are by no means domesticated. They are more prone to wild behavior, like urinating everywhere to mark territory, chewing on anything they can to get their jaw on, nipping, and making a lot of noise. Moreover, whereas domestic dogs adapted to eat an omnivorous diet after a few millennia of eating alongside us, foxes need a more specialized diet than what you can get at a pet store. Unfortunately, there are unscrupulous people within the exotic pet trade who will advertise their tame, at best, stock of domesticated foxes. This often leads consumers to thinking they're getting a much more trackable animal that will be as easy to care for as a cat or dog, and sets up everyone involved for disaster, except, of course, the seller with a fatter wallet. Next, let's compare wild versus feral. A wild species is one that has never been domesticated, nor have its ancestors. Generally, it will be a native species to its ecosystem, though non-native species can become introduced to an ecosystem without having been domesticated. A feral animal, on the other hand, is a member of a domesticated species that has escaped or been released back into the wild and has survived to reproduce new generations that have never been handled by humans. I've often heard people refer to feral swine, Sus domesticus, that have ravaged ecosystems worldwide as wild pigs. They may behave in a wild manner, and they certainly look rougher and hairier than the average well-fed domesticated pig on a farm. It's not uncommon for feral animals to regain some traits of their wild ancestors. However, that does not make them truly wild. If you manage to wrest away a litter of newborn piglets from a feral sow and bottle feed them, they will likely be more able to be socialized and kept in captivity, though they may still physically resemble feral pigs. They haven't lost the deeply ingrained genes that carry domesticated traits. However, if you try to raise a newborn Eurasian wild boar, Sus scrofa, or a Red River hog, Potamochirus porcus, it will lack the domesticated traits of its farm cousins and show more wild traits as it ages, making it rather unsuitable for pets or farm animals. We also see that the return of the domestic traits in Mustangs and other feral horses captured at a young age. While Mustangs born in the wild may be tougher to work with at first than a full born in captivity and handled from birth, the Mustang will be much more calm and easy to train than, say, a zebra. The problem with referring to a feral animal as wild is that this suggests that they are natural and part of the ecosystem that they are in, because a truly domesticated species or subspecies is not the same as the parent species and has no place in which it is native as an animal wild. So no domestic species is wild. Let's stress that again so everybody understands. A native species is one that has evolved in a given ecosystem for thousands or even millions of years. In the process, it has developed numerous intricate interrelationships with many other species that are in its ecosystem, creating a careful system of checks and balances. A non-native species is a species that has been taken out of the ecosystem in which it evolved and placed in a different ecosystem where it is not normally found, and by extension the system of check and balances is not in place for it and has to shake things up a bit, problematic as that may be. For example, here in North America, the mourning dove, Zendaya macrura, is a wild native species. While it may resemble domesticated pigeons, it has never been domesticated, even when kept in captivity. The Eurasian collared dove, Streptopelia decato, on the other hand, was introduced to the Americas after a few dozen individuals were released in the Bahamas in 1974. The feral pigeon, Columbia livia domestica, is a domesticated species derived from the rock dove. Columba livia. Someone was saying that when I say dove, it sounds like I'm saying dub, like dubstep. Where was I? Which is native to Europe, West Asia, and North Africa, but both the collared dove and the pigeon are examples of non-native species. Most non-native species do not offer any benefit to the ecosystem they are introduced to because they do not have established relationship with the native species. When they compete with native species for resources, they weaken the ecosystem overall. So yeah, that's why you don't release domesticated species into the wild, especially or non-native species into an area where they're not known. Non-native species can be further categorized as naturalized or invasive, or even both. A naturalized species is a non-native one that has managed to establish reproducing populations rather than going extinct without becoming established. Unfortunately, some people take this to mean that the species has become fully integrated into the new ecosystem. However, this is a process that again takes thousands to millions of years as the species adapts to the newcomer, which itself often also changes as it adapts to the new environment. So I question this when it comes to bees, though, because domesticated honeybees have definitely supplanted the wild native bees in North America, basically to the point of extinction right now. I mean, they're like on the verge of extinction. And so now if you take out the naturalized invasive European honeybees from the environment would collapse. The ecology would collapse. So I don't know if I agree with this blogger here about that part of it, because I do think that a species can become, not necessarily that it's healthy that it did, but it can become naturalized. Yes, hydrate. I'm on it. Thank you. Anyway, where was I? Ring-necked pheasants. Okay. I feed the sweat bees. They love Bruce Lane. Yeah. I try to do my part, plant native flowers and stuff. But anyway. Ring-necked pheasants. Phasianus. I'm going to say Phasianus. Colsicus. Maybe. I'm trying, guys. Are an example of naturalized species in North America, native to Asia and parts of Europe. They were introduced here as a game bird 250 years ago, while captive pheasants are regularly released into the wild to offer more hunting opportunities to humans. This species has been naturalized from its first introduction. Again, naturalized doesn't mean natural. Pheasants compete with native birds like northern bobwhites and prairie chickens. Not only do they compete for food, nesting sites, and other resources, they also spread diseases to native birds. Pheasants even engage in brooding parasitism, laying their eggs in native bird nests and sometimes causing the native birds to abandon the nest and their own young entirely. This means that pheasants are also invasive as well as naturalized. Invasive species are non-native that aggressively compete with and sometimes displace or extirpate native species. Okay, so here we're getting into it. So I take back my my disagreement previously. We're going to cover it here, I think, including both native species. There are several hundred species that have become seriously invasive here, including both vertebrates and invertebrate animals and numerous plants. But even the rest of the over 6,000 non-native species that have become naturalized here put pressure on native species that have the potential to become invasive if their impact increases to a more damaging point. Hopefully this gives you a clear understanding of what the terms mean and why it's important to know the difference. By knowing a little more about how your local ecosystem works and how different species may be contributing to or detracting from the overall health, you may have more power to be able to make decisions that can preserve native species and help ecosystems to be more resilient. Given the removal of invasive species, in one of the most important ways we can help the ecosystem thrive in spite of climate change. It's more important than ever that we increase nature literacy among general populace. Consider the article just one small way to move the effort along. All right. This was just posted yesterday too. It just popped in my feed and I'm like, oh, I got to talk about that. So yeah, that was a good article, I think. I liked it. I liked how it broke everything down and explained it to us. I hope that you all were able to I swear to Pete. I swear. I need to get that set up so it doesn't have to pop up every time I move to that screen. Anyway, good to see everybody coming in here. I hope you all learned a little bit about ecology, maybe a little bit about tree crocodiles as well. But it's been a pleasant morning. It is now 20 afternoon, and I am ready to go grab a bite to eat. So I'm going to end the stream here and tell everybody to be kind and take care. But I do want to remind you guys that I will be doing the 1,000 stream dash with Skeptic Haven. We're going to see if we can't get me up to 1,000. Got some support from Tang and MathPig and all that good stuff. It's going to be a fun time. That's on the 6th. So when I get off work. All right. Yeah, so please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time. All right, bye-bye.